Good evening, welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. It's a battle between the Trinamool Congress leader Mahua Moitra and the BJP. She now faces charges for her comments on the goddess Kaali, with the BJP leader filing an FIR and accusing her of hurting religious feelings. To this, Mahua Moitra says, "Bring it on BJP, I'm a Kaali worshipper, I'm not afraid of anything, not your ignoramuses, not your goons, not your police, and most certainly not your trolls." But her own party, the Trinamool Congress, has distanced itself from her initial remarks on the goddess Kaali. So where does that leave Mahua Moitra, who joins us now in this exclusive interview? Mahua Moitra, thanks very much for being with us. The key point, you stand by your comments. You believe you are stating a fact that Ma Kaali can be interpreted and worshipped and visualized in different ways.
Yes, Vishnu, I'm a Kaali worshipper. I'm a devotee of Shakti, and this is the way she's been worshipped for thousands of years. I challenge the BJP anywhere in Bengal or anywhere in India to prove me wrong, to prove that anything that I've said is wrong. They filed FIRs, and in Bengal, in every PS that they filed an FIR, within 5 kilometers of that police station, there will be a Kaali temple where Ma Kaali will be worshipped in the manner that I have said. In Madhya Pradesh, in Bhopal, the chief minister said that apparently, he's filed an FIR. I asked him to move 200 kilometers from Bhopal to Ujjain, where the Kal Bhairav temple is, where the goddess is offered alcohol every single day. I asked him, and I asked the government in Madhya Pradesh, the BJP government, to place on affidavit in the Jabalpur High Court that this does not happen. I will take back my words. Okay, the BJP has a government in Assam. The Kamakya temple is a Shakti Peeth in Assam. I challenge the BJP government in Assam to put on affidavit in the Guwahati High Court that this does not happen in Kamakya. I challenge the BJP government in Assam to legislate that this will not happen. In Tripura, in 2019, the High Court had said that animal sacrifice should be stopped within the precincts of any temple in the state of Tripura. The government of Tripura has 2019 filed an SLP currently on appeal in the Supreme Court against that order. I asked them to take it back. The BJP Women's Morcha, I didn't even know they had something like that, but apparently they've gone to Calcutta and filed 55 complaints. I'm sure it's an auspicious number by something or the other. I asked the BJP Women's Morcha, please put out a resolution saying all your women members cannot worship Kaali with Karon and Mangshopok. I will take back my words. You see, Vishnu, what's happened is the BJP's idea of a monolithic, patriarchal, North Indian, Brahminical religion, they're trying to establish it. And all of us have somehow got scared, including you and most of my friends and family. They're like, why do you get into this, Mahua? Why do you get into this? Arey, leave it now. If we don't get into it, then their idea will prevail.
No, but Mahua, there's another question. And the question is that you made those remarks. You might be factually correct, but right, in the present context, you made it to offend. So how would you respond to that?
I did not make it to offend. The present context, I didn't. There are two. This is where the biggest problem with the media is, that you simply cannot choose what is right and what is wrong. I am a practicing Hindu. I'm a practicing Kaali worshipper. There are two questions here. The question was on some poster. I didn't even answer the question. I'm not even backing the poster or what has been shown in the poster. I have not seen the film. I have not seen the poster. I have not seen the film. I have not said a word about it. So anyone's talking about and putting in a headline that Mahua Moitra is defending the poster is talking rubbish, because I haven't seen the poster, and on the program on live TV, I said nothing about it. I don't endorse it. I haven't even seen it. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when you're talking about Section 295A, Section 295A is very clear. That's the section under which all FIRs are filed. Yes. Nupur Sharma. In the state of UP, Ramji Lal Modi versus state of UP 1957, there was a Supreme Court Constitution bench. It was crystal clear. They said the IPC offense under 295A is made out only if there's an aggravated form of insult to religion which are calculated to hurt feelings of a particular class. Now, in this case, I am a Hindu. I am a practicing Hindu. Who is anyone to tell me whose sentiment is being hurt? In Nupur's case, they said, why Nupur, why not you? In Nupur's case, she was talking about somebody else's faith, targeting some between religions. In my case, it is...
You're talking about your own faith, all right.
My own. The second point is this. She said it to denigrate the prophet. I said it to celebrate the goddess. This is how we celebrate the goddess. There's a very big difference, and I guarantee any FIR, anywhere, any court of the land, I ask any SHO, any IO, any justice to put down exactly how this is an offense, and I ask the BJP to put on affidavit that Kaali is not worshipped like this. And I will defend this till I die.
All right. Mahua, Moitra, do you feel let down by your own Trinamool Congress, who've completely distanced themselves from your remarks?
Not at all. That's between my party and me. I'm not going to make that fodder for the national press. And that's between my party and me. I'm sure we'll sort it out at the appropriate forum.
You're optimistic about sorting this out? Because they've distanced themselves completely.
I'm a staunch soldier of the party. And I'm a staunch soldier, more importantly, of Mamata Banerjee. And I don't think there's anything happened between me and my party. And if there is, that's something I will sort out at a separate level, certainly not on national television. But this is a fight between BJP's idea of a monolithic, patriarchal, homogeneous idea of Hinduism that I will stand against till the day I die. And anyone who tells me, Mahua, do not wade into this, is feeding the BJP frenzy. So I'm standing clear against that.
But you've you're no longer on the Trinamool Congress's handle on Twitter now. I mean,
I follow Mamata Banerjee. I think it's irrelevant. I mean, I follow Mamata Banerjee. It's Mamata Banerjee's party. I follow Mamata Banerjee.
So you're sending a message?
I don't know what message I'm sending and how this is even relevant, but I follow Mamata Banerjee. She's
we'll get back to the key issue, but I have to ask you this because it's been reported everywhere, Mahua.
Your job is to report it. Your job is to report it. The issue is...
And ask it, so I'm asking you.
So I'm answering it, that I follow Mamata Banerjee. That's my answer.
Are you upset with leaders of the Trinamool Congress apart from Mamata?
Again, Vishnu, the issue is this. The problem why all this happened was because the India Today anchor was not prepared. The topic of the show was federalism, and the poor anchor came unprepared to the show. So he asked one question on federalism and 200 other questions. Your point today is to talk about and to stand up to hear my point of view on why it is so necessary to fight the BJP on our ground. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So
Mahua, let me ask you about this. The Trinamool came to power on a plank of diversity in the past, and how there was no one homogeneous definition of Hinduism or, for that matter, any faith. Do you feel the Trinamool is therefore succumbing to a definition of worship, in this case about Ma Kaali, which is not necessarily theirs, which has been one which celebrates diversity in Hinduism?
Thank you, Vishnu. I am, like I said, a strong soldier of the Trinamool, and the Trinamool has always stood for diversity and for protecting Bengal from outsiders who believe that, this homogenized version of Hinduism, one size fits all. In 2021, that was our plank. And that, as a proud Bengali, as a proud Trinamooli, and as a proud Hindu, that's what I'm willing to put out there. That there is that diversity in everything stands. And this BJP tack, you can't be all things to all people, BJP. If you want me to take back my words, please file an affidavit that Kaali is not worshipped like this in every state, in Bengal and outside. Till such time, zip up.
Do you believe, Mahua, that, and this is a political question, I'm not asking you about differences within the Trinamool Congress, but do you feel that had the Trinamool Congress taken a different position, a position which was yours, then they politically would not have ceded ground, which they may be interpreted as having ceded on this particular issue, which is the national issue?
These are all very hypothetical questions. There's only time will tell. These are very hypothetical questions. I'm not sure that this is very relevant now. I think the issue today is obviously all this hype. It's a bit of a storm in a teacup, because, like I've said, that Section 295A, this is not the same thing as Nipur. What the BJP want to do politically is to get the heat taken off Nupur. They want to say, oh, you guys demanded Nupur to be arrested. Look at Mahua Moitra. She's done the same thing. She should be arrested. Mahua Moitra standing here and explaining to you exactly using the law how it's not the same thing. In Bengali, we have a saying, Rabindranath's dari and Ramchagaler dari ek noy. So Rabindranath's beard and that of a billy goat are never the same thing. So these two offenses are not the same. I will defend it till I die, and I challenge the BJP to prove me otherwise. So
Mahua, how many FIRs have there been filed against you at this stage? 2, right?
I'm not sure. I think there was one in Bhopal, but what I found very amusing was there was one in Calcutta where it was a laughable FIR. It was brilliant. It offended my sentiments, as a friend of mine put it. This offends my sensibilities as a lawyer friend of mine put it. But it said in had written at the bottom was received 55 other complaints. So it was 1 plus 56. So there's definitely
you're being
56.
or you're possibly going to be targeted with FIRs across the country or in
like I
places?
said, if there is such an FIR, I look forward to going to every single court that the FIR comes up in and asking the other side to place an affidavit. This doesn't happen.
Is there a real danger, Mahua, that FIRs are being filed for any statement on any aspect of Hindutva, that this outrage is essentially manufactured?
This is completely manufactured Hinduism, and it's working to this extent where, look at my situation. For example, so many people are calling me and saying, Mahua, we stand with you, but why do you get into all this? In today's context, one shouldn't talk about religion. I don't want to live in an India where I can't talk about my religion. I don't want to live in an India where there's an elephant in the room and we are accepting BJP's idea of this monolithic patriarchal religion. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. We have to be able to have sane conversations and stand up for what I believe in. And I will believe that and stand up for it till the day I die. I am not scared. I'm not in hiding like Nupur Sharma. Nobody's given me security. I'm sitting in my bedroom, in my constituency, in Karimpur, Nadia. So bring it on.
All right, Mahua Moitra, as feisty as ever, and you're sticking to whatever it is that you've said. Thank you so much for clarifying your position. Thank you very much indeed. All right, so Mahua Moitra over there, I'll say it again, as feisty as ever, and her tweet earlier was, bring it on BJP, am a Kaali worshipper, I'm not afraid of anything, not your ignoramuses, not your goons, not your police, certainly not your trolls. So that's her position. She doesn't care about the fact that her party has distanced itself completely from her remarks. Well, we're going to get reactions on what she said in this interview. Chandra Kumar Bose of the BJP joins us now. Tausif Ahmed Khan of the Trinamool Congress with us as well, and Meeta Chakrabarti, a political analyst, is with us. She was a candidate for the Congress in the Lok Sabha in 2019. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Tausif Ahmed Khan, Mahua Moitra says that she stands by those remarks. As a party, the TMC has distanced itself. Are you uncomfortable with her position?
You see, Trinamool as a political party does not support the portrayal of Goddess Kaali in the poster. And the statement made by Mahua Moitra was in her personal capacity. And we must not forget that she did not even use the word smoking, or she did not comment on the poster.
No, but she just said that she was answering a question, not about the poster, but her point was about how Hinduism is practiced and how the worship of Ma Kaali is practiced. And she was referring to specific examples. She says she had nothing to do with this film. She has not seen the film, not aware of it. She said this 5 minutes back on this program, 10 minutes back.
Absolutely the point that BJP is using its troll army to divert the attention and the uproar over Nupur Sharma's comments. Trinamool as a party stands for temple, mosque and church. Trinamool as a party and Mamata Banerjee as the leader and all the followers of Mamata Banerjee respect all religion. There is no question of insulting any religious sentiment.
No, but she was not insulting religious sentiment. She was only expressing the view, and this view is factually correct, that the visualization of Ma Kaali, the interpretation of Kaali worship is different in different parts of the country, and she gave examples. Are you saying what she said was factually incorrect?
No, I'm not saying that.
But then why distance yourself from what she said?
No, she may have a personal view.
No, but how is this view wrong?
No, there is no question of
her view is based on what she says is fact. I'm only trying to ask you, is she factually incorrect? Because she can give you 10 examples across the country.
No, there are examples across the country. There are examples of vegetarian Hindus and non-vegetarian Hindus and having different modes of worshipping. And the point is not that. Point is that the BJP is creating this issue only to divert
I'm not asking
the
you about BJP. I'm asking you about Mahua Moitra. I'll ask you about the BJP in a minute. But I'm asking you about Mahua Moitra because it seems strange to a lot of people that you would, on this particular issue, which is an issue of fact, if you look at what exactly she has said, as a party you've distanced yourself from one of your tallest leaders.
Because the party does not intend to, knowingly or unknowingly, harm anyone's sentiment. there are, as you yourself said, and I just said a few moments ago, that different practice is followed in different region of the country. Our country, one should be mindful that our country has, diverse ways of living and diverse belief. And
so you feel that she offended the sensibilities of some people? That's what you're trying to say?
I am saying, in case, if that is the case, party has distanced itself. Party does not stand by the comment made by her. That is in her personal, personal view.
Okay. Meeta Chakravarti.
What I am trying to bring to the front is that today, dollar rate has...
So let's not talk about dollar rate on this discussion.
No, because BJP is... BJP is winning.
We're talking about a very specific issue. So let's not talk about dollar rate. I'm sure we'll discuss that later on. But Meeta Chakravarti, do you believe that as an opposition party, the Trinamool Congress has ceded ground on a contentious issue to the BJP, particularly when factually there doesn't appear to be anything wrong with what Mahua Moitra has said?
Okay, good evening to all your viewers, and I would like to make it very clear that I'm commenting only on an individual capacity, not representing any party's official line.
Now answer the question, now that you've given us the rider.
Right. So we all know that Hinduism is interpreted differently in different parts of the country, and we have different religious and cultural traditions in different parts of the country. So I completely agree with Mahua Moitra when she says that there is this constant effort of putting everything to a standard homogeneous template, which is not the case. For generations, we have done Kali Pujo during the Diwali time in Bengal, where alcohol and non-vegetarian food had been given as part of the bhog during Kali Pujo. No one can deny that. I have grown up watching those kind of Kali Pujo. And let me remind you, it is not only in Bengal, but Bengali communities across the country and Bengali communities across the world do perform Kali Pujo in that way. So it is a standard practice. It is our interpretation. And I, as a proud Hindu, as a proud Bengali Hindu, as a proud Bengali woman, I do not want anybody else to tell me as how I'm going to worship my goddess.
Do you feel offended,
I worship
Meeta?
my goddess.
Do you feel offended at any political party telling you that, you can't worship or you cannot interpret Ma Kaali in any way other than a particular way?
I take that as an insult to Goddess Kaali. We have been worshipping Goddess Kaali in a certain way over generations. This is not a new thing. And this should be known to the other sector people who are trying to put everything in a standard template of interpreting Hinduism.
Okay.
We are proud of being different. We should celebrate our differences.
Chandra Kumar
Instead of celebrating our differences, we are just trying to put emphasis on one uniform interpretation of Hinduism, and that needs to stop. That is very problematic.
Mahua Moitra making it absolutely clear that there's an agenda that you are pursuing over here. There's nothing wrong with what she has said. How would you respond?
Vishnu, good evening. Good evening to all panelists. You see, Hindu religion has the strength to be tolerant and also at the same time liberal. Having said that, one cannot take liberties to describe Ma Kaali or any other goddess in a particular manner. What Mahua Moitra has said may be factually correct, but the presentation and how the way she actually described Ma Kaali at the program, I think was denigrating Kaali. It was misunderstood by many. See, it is not necessarily what the BJP feels. It is what Hindus and even non-Hindus feel about Ma Kaali. I know even atheists worship Ma Kaali. My great uncle Subhash Chandra Bose was a great follower and worshipper of Ma Kaali. Now, one thing is clear. You see, sacrificial goat, alcohol are put at the Kaali temple in Tarapet and even other places in Sikkim.
Yes.
But the point is, the danger that I find in the country today, that politics is getting involved or religion is getting involved in politics. Today we see right across the country.
But then why file an FIR
I
against
think
her?
the issue, let me finish please, Vishnu. The issue is not whether Ma Kaali has been insulted or denigrated. The issue is
But you just said
why
that was the issue.
religion and goddesses are being dragged into a political slugfest. I think politicians must be given a warning that we must refrain from using religious symbols and goddesses for political purposes and mileage.
No, but
we have seen
Mr.
this
Bose, I
happen
take your
earlier
point.
also.
I think absolutely.
This cannot
but
continue.
sir, let me hop in over here. I'm just trying to understand why was it necessary to file an FIR, particularly since you yourself said what she said was factually correct. It's a matter of fact over here.
Well, it has hurt the sentiments of certain people.
But then, sir, that's the problem. Anything can
Let
affect
the law
the
take
sentiments
its
of
own
people.
course.
Let
the law take its own course.
Has
If
what
there
she
is
has
any
said really
weightage
that offensive?
in the FIR,
Meeta
the law
Chakrabarti,
will
sure.
take its own course.
Yeah, no, it will have to now. There's no option about that. Meeta Chakrabarti, are you offended, perchance, as a practicing Hindu, about what she said?
Not at all. First of all, she has made it amply clear that she was not commenting on the creatives of a particular movie. And the way Goddess Kaali was being depicted in that poster, she has not seen the poster, she has not seen the movie. So she has made it very amply clear. So keep the creative and the movie out of this conversation. She has only commented on a religious tradition that we all Bengalis are aware of. That is how Goddess Kaali is worshipped in Bengal and in different parts of the country, in different parts of the world by the Bengali community. So what I find offensive is someone telling me that what I have been doing since my childhood and the traditions that I believe in, the tradition that was taught to me by Ramakrishna Dev, tradition that was put forward by Swami Vivekananda was wrong. As a Bengali Hindu, I find that offensive. I find that an insult to Goddess Kaali.
You know,
Goddess Kaali is epitome of Shakti. It's epitome of power. We derive Shakti and power from Goddess Kaali. We do not want to be told as how we are going to worship our own Mata, our own goddess.
You know, Tausif, what she has said is important because, again, I'd like a Trinamool reaction on this. She says, I never backed any film or poster or mentioned the word smoking. Suggest you visit my Ma Kaali in Tarapit to see what food and drink are offered as bhog, Joy Matara. So, again, she says that she's distancing herself completely from this poster, this film, and everything over there. What's wrong with what she said?
Absolutely, Vishnu. There's no comment over the poster and the film. Mr. Chandra Bose was just saying that goddess being dragged in a political slugfest. Let me just remind you, just about a year ago in India conclave, Dilip Ghosh, the then Bengal chief, said on stage that ye Ma Durga kahan se aa gayi. No, that is called, dragging goddess in a political slugfest when he tried to compare Ma Durga with Shri Ram, and he said ke Shri Ram ke पूर्वजों का नाम है, माँ दुर्गा के नाम नहीं है. This is called, insulting. Did you see any, words of condemnation from the top BJP leadership? No. But this BJP troll army has become active and trying to just, deviate from the real issues that country is facing today.
Okay.
And we are having this, superficial, debate or a conversation or this, tutu meme over the prime time debate instead of, discussing the failures of the central government, where even it concerns to each and every Indian, the majority of which are poor when they have to pay, 50 rupees more for the domestic cooking gases or the dollar rate,
All right,
shooting
fair
high.
enough. You feel it's a superficial topic and a superficial debate. I can assure you it's the big headline across the country now, particularly a party which is entirely secular, like the All India Trinamool Congress, moving away from a remark made by one of your most prominent leaders. It does raise questions on an aspect of Hinduism which doesn't necessarily seem to be controversial. It's practiced. Chandra Bose himself said it was. Be that as it may, I must agree with what Mr. Bose said. Don't drag deities into a political slugfest. I think that makes a lot of sense. Perhaps there'd be some sort of sense which finally emerges out of all of this. The question is when. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Questions on coup. Sashi Kumar writes in, Moitra allegedly hurt the religious sentiments of Hindus with her controversial remarks on the goddess Kaali. Mohanty says if the if GC Mohanty says that if the Trinamool Congress had nothing to do with the statement, then why make a hue and cry over Nupur Sharma's statement? All right, so a couple of viewpoints over there. We're going to take a short break, but after that, an interview you don't want to miss. The chairman and managing director of SpiceJet speaks to us in an exclusive interview at a time when there have been lots of safety questions which have been raised, not just about his airline, but about other airlines in this country as well. Well, after 3 flight safety incidents yesterday, the aviation regulator has taken tough action against SpiceJet, issuing it a show cause notice and asking it to explain how it is a safe airline to fly. Now, as we bring you the details of that show cause notice, it is important to note that other leading airlines, including Vistara and Indigo, have had separate unrelated safety incidents even today. Given the volume of air travel in India, there are approximately 30 such incidents daily. But first, details of the show cause notice to SpiceJet, and then our special exclusive guest, the SpiceJet CMD Ajay Singh, will tell us if his airline is safe. So let's bring you a couple of the important details. Now, the regulator in its note to SpiceJet says that the airline failed to establish safe, efficient and reliable air services. The airline continued to operate flights with degraded safety margins. In other words, higher safety standards should possibly have been maintained. The regulator has questions on poor internal oversight in the airline and says that there are inadequate maintenance actions. What's more, most incidents are related to component failure or system-related failure, and that approved vendors who provide components are not being paid on time, and that there is a shortage of spares. But in addition to these 3 SpiceJet incidents yesterday, there were 2 other ones involving Indigo and Vistara. In fact, several others. The details of all of them we don't know. But a couple of examples of the 2 others we do have details on. The crew of an Indigo A320 aircraft from Raipur to Indore reported smoke in the cabin during taxiing and landing. And a Vistara flight which landed in Delhi from Bangkok had an electrical malfunction which caused an engine snag after landing. Now, in a statement to NDTV, the Director General of Civil Aviation has said on an average about 30 incidents do take place, which includes go-arounds, missed approaches, diversions, medical emergencies, weather, technical reasons, bird hits, in runway incursions, excursions from the runway, and air traffic control issues as well. Most of these have no safety implications. But this is a program about safety implications, and the Civil Aviation Minister, Jyotiraditya Scindia, has said that that's the key point. Passenger safety is paramount. Even the smallest error hindering safety will be thoroughly investigated and course corrected. Well, joining us now, the CMD of SpiceJet, Mr. Ajay Singh. Well, at a time when there have been several reports of flight safety concerns on SpiceJet, including several yesterday, questions have been raised now on the safety of the airline, with a show cause notice being issued by the Civil Aviation Ministry. To talk about the implications of this and a response from the airline, we are very privileged to have Ajay Singh, Chairman and MD of SpiceJet, who joins us for this exclusive interview. Thanks, sir, very much for being with us. Now, it's just in the last little while that the show cause notice has come out, and it says, and I quote, whereas the review transpires that poor internal safety oversight and inadequate maintenance actions has resulted in degradation of the safety margin. So the basic question is this: is SpiceJet safe to fly on?
Vishnu, SpiceJet is absolutely safe. Let me just remind you that just a month ago, DGCA had actually audited every single one of our aircraft and found them to be safe.
Yeah.
As far as these incidents are concerned, and of course, let me just say that every incident that happens is a cause of concern. Yeah. It always is a cause of concern. And of course, we have to take every possible conceivable step to ensure that incidents are minimized. That is the job of an airline, and we of course will continue to do that. But let me just say that of the incidents that are being talked about, one of them, for example, is a bird hit. Mm-hmm. This, smoke coming out from an engine. That is a bird hit. No airline, and every airline has bird hits. I mean, on the day that SpiceJet had a bird hit, so did another airline have a bird hit. But it's just, we need to make sure that we are consciously taking a call on what is safe and what is not safe.
Sure.
We, for example, this incident which happened yesterday, and you referred to several incidents yesterday. There were 2 incidents yesterday. Let me just tell you about them. The first incident was when an aircraft was diverted on a precautionary basis into Karachi. This is a flight which was going from Delhi to Dubai. And the pilot suspected that there could be, additional consumption of fuel. I mean, more consumption than there should be. So as abundant precaution, and he did absolutely the right thing, as abundant precaution, he diverted to the closest possible airport. Now, on analysis, we found that there was actually absolutely nothing wrong with the aircraft. And while we are still studying the plane along with Boeing, it seems that there is no real problem with
Was
the
it
aircraft.
a wrong decision or a wrong call by the pilot?
No, I don't want to say that at all, because, the pilot's job is to be absolutely 100% safe. I mean, that is absolutely the most important thing he
So
can do.
I'll come back to this particular Karachi incident, but I just you were mentioning that one needs to look at every single case and not just sort of club it all together. But May 28th, you had a windshield crack on Mumbai-Gorakhpur. You had another windshield crack yesterday, which also took place. And therefore, and these were not bird hits. So those who say
absolutely.
that, there are maintenance issues, how are they incorrect?
Look, a windshield crack, a windshield is a windshield. It comes from a supplier. You put it, and sometimes they crack. And it's not only they crack for airlines across the country and across the world. I mean, if I was to show you, and of course, I don't want to get into the legalese of this, and because it's extremely important that SpiceJet run an absolutely safe operation, as in fact it has done for the last 15 years of its existence in India. But let me just say that if you look at the average data, and that's how any sensible person would look at it. Look at a global average, how many windshields crack, on how many flights per flight, how many windshields crack, how many windshields crack for SpiceJet, how many windshields crack for Indigo. You will find that, in fact, Indian carriers are doing quite a bit better than their foreign counterparts.
Okay.
So windshields crack, the planes, are then come back and then they replace the windshield and they move on.
Okay, but Mr. Singh, there are 2 other incidents.
If you have 3,000, 2,500, 3,000 flights a day, some windshields will crack. They crack for every day.
July 2nd, you had a Jabalpur bound aircraft, which returned to Delhi with smoke in the cabin. Apparently, it was an oil leak which took place. May 4th, one of the engines of your aircraft, Chennai Durgapur, had to shut down because of an oil filter warning. Again,
Yes.
how is this not a maintenance issue?
Of course. Let me tell you. The oil filter warning issue, these are brand new aircraft which have come from Boeing. Those brand new aircraft have a new engine, the CFM LEAP engine. If you remember this LEAP engine for Indigo aircraft, there were several shutdowns last year. In fact, I think more than 40 or 50 shutdowns which happened last year in flight. These are new engines there can be some errors when a new engine is inducted into service. And just as there were shutdowns last year, there have been 2 in-flight shutdowns in SpiceJet's case in the time that we have operated the MAX. And these are brand new planes performing extremely well. So this is not at all a maintenance issue. Not at all. These are, if anything, design issues related to a brand new engine being inducted.
No, but isn't that then a safety issue? Even if it's not SpiceJet's fault in these 2 cases, is the MAX 8 safe to fly?
So it's like this, that, when a brand new plane is inducted and there is an in-flight shutdown, of course it is a cause of concern, no question about it. But planes are designed to fly on a single engine and land back on a single engine. Now, of the few thousand flights, in 1 or 2 flights, if there is a shutdown, of course, cause of concern, the manufacturer is alerted, they look into the engine, they do a boroscope, they try and rectify the engine or replace it or whatever. But it is absolutely not the airline's fault, not at all, or nor of the maintenance practices. Absolutely not.
But sir, in that case, when
just as it was not, Indigo's fault that there were so many in-flight shutdowns last year, 40, 50.
But therefore, when the aviation regulator says it may be deduced that SpiceJet has failed to establish a safe, efficient and reliable air service, isn't this a very strong indictment of your airline, sir?
Look, this is a show cause. Of course, we will talk to them. They are absolutely right to be concerned as we are. We will show them all the data. We will show them all our practices. We have recently been audited by IOSA as well. And we will show them. And if they point out that here are some gaps that we see in your system, we are very happy to ensure that we run an absolutely fail-safe operation. It's been 15 years since SpiceJet has flown. There has never been anything significant which has happened at SpiceJet. It's just that we believe that in the last few weeks, there has been, I think, reporting. For example, the smoke coming out of an engine was a bird hit. This incident which happened with the diversion at Karachi, there is actually nothing which has happened to the aircraft at all. If there is an air conditioning failure which has been reported, pressurization, these happen on a daily basis in airlines around the country. There's nothing unique or special which is happening over here. Of course, we understand the concern. We understand that this is being reported, and therefore it should be of great concern to all of us. And we are doing everything humanly possible to make sure that it's completely safe operation.
But sir, when again the show cause notice says that you are financially cash strapped, and this is a fact. I mean, the airline is in a difficult situation. It also says that you're operating on cash and carry, and suppliers and approved vendors are not being paid on a regular basis, leading to a shortage of spares and frequent invoking of MELs or minimum equipment lists.
Again, let me say, Vishnu, we will absolutely prove to DGCA that none. Of course, every airline in the world is in financial difficulty at this time. But this has absolutely no bearing, and no airline would ever compromise on safety as a consequence of that. And we will show that to DGCA. Of course, it's our job.
So you're not regularly operating on minimum equipment lists. In other words, the bare minimum to allow a flight to take place.
Vishnu, in fact, this minimum equipment list, over the last several weeks, we have dramatically reduced the aircraft operating on minimum equipment list. So, in fact, at our last meeting with DGCA, we had shown them that the number of aircraft which were on MEL has actually reduced a lot. So, while MEL aircraft are absolutely safe to fly, what MEL does is that it does not allow you to fly in certain conditions. That, in certain weather conditions, it won't allow you to fly, etc. But that is now down to a very, very small number of aircraft.
What percentage of your fleet are you operating now in your Boeing fleet or on your Q400 fleet on minimum equipment lists?
It's probably, maybe it's 5% or something like that.
And is that within the normal standards of any airline? That 5% of your flights?
Again, we will show that the data to DGCA. I mean, these are very normal issues, and it's not like if it's MEL on a day, it's MEL again on the next day. By the next day, you would have made some rectification, and then it will be off the MEL list.
So 5% of your fleet would be several aircraft, would be what more? No, well more than
the floating population. There's some go on MEL, some come off MEL, but it's very minimal. Vishnu, the MEL aircraft are not unsafe aircraft by any stretch of the imagination. It says that maybe you cannot fly at a high temperature, maybe you cannot fly at a certain if the airport is at a certain height, etc.
Right.
That's what happens.
They are also saying that they've carried out a financial assessment last year, and that you're operating on cash and carry. Is this not a problem that you have to pay for the fuel before you can mount a flight?
No, so SpiceJet has been operating on cash and carry on fuel for the last, I think, 10 years. So, I mean, airlines choose their own method of paying up. And I think, we are very happy that we actually pay for fuel in advance before we fly a plane. And therefore, we owe absolutely nothing to any oil companies at this point of time. So it's a mechanism where we get additional discount from oil companies because we pay in advance.
Okay. What about suppliers and approved vendors not being paid on a regular basis?
Look, whenever there is financial stress in an airline, there is always some give and take which is going to happen with suppliers. There will be installments provided to them. There will be some delays in making payments. Again, this has nothing to do with safety or spare parts being available. No aircraft can ever fly unless it's 100% safe.
Right. So are you delaying payments to your vendors?
So of course, the vendors are being paid. All the critical vendors are being paid. There are some delays in making certain payments, but again, that doesn't impact either the supply of any spare part. I mean, if you look at all the incidents, there's nothing, not even one, which has anything to do with a spare part issue.
Got it, sir. But therefore, if what they are saying, and again, this is what the DGCA, the aviation regulator, is saying, is that while your flights are obviously landing safely, fortunately so, you are landing with degraded safety margins. Those are their words.
No, so again, it is for us to show, and they're absolutely right to show concern when media reports incidents in a string of incidents. And again, as we proved to them last month, we will again prove to them that what we are doing is absolutely as safe as we possibly can be. And if they find us to be deficient in any space at all, of course we'll make that call. Of course, and it is their job to regulate us, and we welcome that regulation.
Mr. Singh, the flight which landed in Karachi yesterday because there was this malfunction of an instrument, fuel monitoring system which took place. How many hours, and this is separate from the larger issue of flight safety, how many hours did the passengers have to remain on that aircraft before they could be flown out by a replacement aircraft?
So they were allowed to deboard and be in the lounge, Vishnu. This is Pakistan, and Pakistan is not the easiest when you
exactly. That's why I'm asking. Yeah.
Of course. So we said that. As I said, that the pilot diverted there out of precaution, and he did the right thing. The indicator light that you are speaking about, I mean, it showed some form of an imbalance or additional consumption of fuel. So he was right, and he landed, at the nearest possible airport, which happened to be Karachi. Now, we wanted to send an aircraft there to take the passengers out and on to Dubai. The Pakistan government, takes a lot of time to give those clearances. So, it took a fair while, and we really regret that. But they did permit us to take the passengers out of the plane and into the lounge. So they were in the lounge, and then the replacement aircraft was sent. The passengers went in that replacement aircraft. It took a long time because clearances in Pakistan really take a very long time, especially when it comes to Indian aircraft.
Was it a tense day for you, besides, getting those passengers onto the replacement flight, because you'd made this landing, a precautionary landing in Pakistan, not the easiest place to deal with from an administration standpoint, besides anything else?
Yes, absolutely. Of course. I mean, Bombay is very close to Karachi. If he had only landed in Bombay, there would have been no issue at all, right? It's just that it happened to be Pakistan, and of course, you have to use your best officers to get clearances in Pakistan. And for India, the rules sometimes. I mean, it takes longer. So I don't want to criticize anybody here.
Sure.
All I want to say is that, of course, it took much longer, and therefore it was tense, because it was of great concern to us that the passengers were in Pakistan and needed to be flown as soon as possible to Dubai.
And sir, did the government actually get involved in the process of trying to ensure that permissions were given for the replacement flight to land, to get into Pakistan?
Well, we had kept the government, the regulator, as well as our ambassador in Pakistan informed. And of course, everybody assisted in the process.
All right. Well, that's great to know. And I'll just end this interview with, what I started on. Is SpiceJet a safe airline to fly?
SpiceJet is 100% safe airline to fly, as it has been for the last 15 years.
All right, Mr. Ajay Singh, thanks. Appreciate your coming on board, taking on all of these questions on the basis of this show cause which has been issued to the airline. Hopefully the SpiceJet remains as safe as you believe it is. Thanks very much, sir, for being with us.